From the streets to social media, human rights activists have demonstrated their ability to challenge the status quo and demand political and social change. And while speaking out is nothing new, the platform people use to voice their opinions has drastically developed over time. Now, with the ubiquity of the internet, social media platforms and mobile devices emerging, a transformation of the traditional social movement has occurred.
But what has this new form of online activism actually offered? And more importantly, has it enhanced opportunity for democratic participation, or has it opened up problematic potentials?
But first, what actually is online activism? According to Marx and Jassan, online activism can be defined as all kinds of initiatives with a mission to use facets of the internet that include the World Wide Web, electronic mail, and social media platforms. However, with the internet being accessible to nearly anyone with just a touch of a screen, there remains and increases to be a vast number of people who abuse its power to spread hate and to ultimately cause more harm than good. The hate mail directed towards Australian feminist writer and online activist Clementine Ford is one example of how social media can be used to imbue and inspire hostility towards online activists attempting to drive social change. Time and time again, Clementine Ford has been publicly abused and ridiculed for her stance on women's rights. Whether it be through her Twitter, Facebook, email, or even YouTube, she continues to remain subject to hate mongering from all angles and all platforms. And whilst her work on advancing the push for feminist discourse has had great impact, the responses she receives bring with them a wave of hatred that tend to overlook the real issue at hand. In this sense, social media can prove to be a disruptive force for progressive movements online, as it can encourage the formation of anti-feminist opinion by individuals and groups that engage in the online space and in the real world, increase the prevalence of hate mail, therefore allowing the continuance of bullying and harassment to occur to people online, and to associate a real-world issue with one person, honing in on the activist instead of focusing on a reasonable discussion over the issue. Another example amidst the many that demonstrate the destructiveness of social activism is the potential for the internet and social networking sites to become, quote, a virtual playground for extremist views. Far too many times have we been confronted with the graphic imagery and abhorrent messages of terrorists while being in the comfort of our own homes. Whether it be to celebrate a recent attack or to gather support for the organisation of a new one, jihadist groups have become increasingly reliant on digital media to reach the public on a global scale. Dr. Imran Marwan from Birmingham University argues that ISIS use social media platforms to help spread their ideology to thousands of online users across the world. Arwen states that ISIS are now increasingly fighting an online cyber war, with the use of slick videos and online messages of hate that aim to radicalise and create a new generation of cyber jihadists. In Clausen's study of social media networks, it was found that Twitter was being used by ISIS members as a means to create an illusion that the group was more powerful than it actually was. It was also found that jihadist groups were using YouTube as a means for propaganda purposes. They examined the group Al-Muhajir's YouTube propaganda campaign and found that the group were using YouTube media channels to politicise support and create powerful terror networks. However, the power of social media to enhance and inspire positive initiatives of online activism is both paramount and undeniable in today's current digitised world. From the Occupy Wall Street movement to the People's Climate March, social media and the internet at large has played a huge role in increasing the visibility of opinions and serving as an avenue that can lead to actual protest. In the case of the Black Lives Matter movement, social media can be seen as crucial to allowing marginalised voices from all over the world to be heard on a global scale. With the opportunity to speak out and gain support by circulating information via social media and new digital technologies, people who have for a long time struggled to resist oppression are now free to claim their right to self-determination. In 2012, the acquittal of George Zimmerman, a policeman who had unnecessarily gunned down a 17-year-old African-American high school student, Trayvon Martin, sparked great change in recognising the prevalence of racial inequality in America. Since then, the hashtag Black Lives Matter has become the banner under which millions of people around the world press for change. Whether it be through Twitter, Facebook or Instagram, citizens who are often subject to silence have since been able to use social media to get the word out, without having to go through mainstream mass media corporations and government institutions. So that instead of being a top-down process where traditional media outlets and government authorities disseminate information to the public, this many-to-many interactivity becomes achievable, resulting in a much more rapid and horizontal exchange of information. Giorgio Tizes highlights that although a communication line is not the definitive solution for decreasing tensions or stopping conflicts, it contributes significantly to planting the seeds for change. For whilst racial inequality is not an easily solvable problem, social media can invite discussion and provide the potential for real change in the future. The fast and efficient organisation of Anonymous and WikiLeaks are also examples of how significant social media can be in the quest for transparency and democratic processes. Giorgio's notes that WikiLeaks, for example, probably the most known and notorious website for disseminating information, shook global politics when it revealed information about the Iraq War and US diplomatic practices. Motivated by this, a new collective online activist group emerged, naming itself Anonymous, a congregation of hacktivists who operate with no clear hierarchy or conventional structure,
including thousands of members that do not know each other, have never seen each other, and essentially do not talk to each other. In partaking in this newfound form of activism, Giorgios highlights how hacktivists have since challenged the normal channels of challenging power and have continued to demand the freedom of expression and the freedom of information.
Not only demonstrating that there need be no identifiable leader or hierarchy for change to occur, but also encouraging the maintenance of a counterpower that can enhance alternative politics and greater participation in democracy. Such activism was unprecedented and gives an indication as to just how huge the transformation from the streets to social media has really been in the activism process. Therefore, whilst only reflecting on a few examples, social media can be regarded as a wide open paradox, destined for both potentialities and limitations when attempting to drive social change. So, how about you give online activism a go? You'll never know what the freedom of the internet might bring you.